Hello?
Hi, Nicola.
Oh, hello. Oh, do I need to turn YouTube off?
If you're hearing YouTube, then yeah, because otherwise I'm speaking to you through Skype, but I can't hear YouTube.
Oh, yeah, okay, sorted. Should I turn the camera off?
Yeah, if you do, just because I might not have good enough internet. I can see, is that
Okay.
your dog or a cat? I can just see a little
It,
head.
is the dog.
Oh,
Cecil, look, say hello.
what type of dog is
No, he
that?
doesn't want to. He's a Japanese chin.
Oh, he's very cute.
I know, he's beautiful, isn't he?
Yeah, he's so
Cecil,
sweet. I can kind of see his little face.
look. He does look like a cat a lot. Okay, I'll turn the camera off now.
Yeah, thanks.
Ah, okay. I kind of feel like I've listened to so many talks. I'm constantly like every night before I go to bed, I'm listening to someone else, and I've got all these ideas in my head of, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing this, and then
Yeah,
in life as well, like it's just all the time.
yeah, yeah. And
Uh,
that's the seeking energy presenting itself to you.
Mm,
That's the same, like before you got into this subject, your mind would have been doing it exactly the same in exactly the same patterns with your everyday life, with your partner or with your kids or with your work, education. It would have been the same strategizing. Your mind is trying to find rest,
mm,
and there isn't rest in that energy. That energy is designed to always try to get to the next moment, and it's got an agitation in it, and then it sends the emotions and the thinking into overthinking or overly dramatic emotions, like
yeah,
overthinking about things, and the thinking then creates the emotions. It becomes like a loop,
yeah,
and it just needs sitting through and seeing it as not true. So you know the famous story of the Buddha sitting under the Bodhi tree, and for 40
yeah,
days and 40 nights Maya presented itself, like seeking, or the mind presented itself, and the Buddha didn't move. And it's that he didn't there wasn't this attachment to any of the stories. So it's like your mind comes up and says, I need to be more like Eckhart Tolle, or I need to be more calm,
yeah,
or I need to not do this, I need to not do that. And it's seeing it for what it is, that none of that is reality. That if you act it out or if you don't act it out, it's not truth. Your truth is that your bum is on the seat, your dog is on your lap, you're breathing, you can hear my voice. The truth is this moment. But the human spins in how it should be. And most of the problems for the human is human relationships
yeah.
and money relationships, which is kind of human relationships because money is a way we trade together. That's what we mostly seek around.
When I stop and I pay attention to like my bum on the seat, the dog on my lap, it's always like, oh, what is this here?
Yeah.
Great, this is it. I hear you say this is it, and I'm like, woo.
When the seeking energy is there, the seeking energy is never content with this. But
Mm,
underneath that seeking energy, there is a presence which is totally at home with whatever's happening. But your focus, or the focus of the personal awareness, is on you and on the seeking energy, which is uncomfortable. So that's why it feels like, is this it? Like a lot of people say that, especially if they have awakening experiences. Like they have these experiences and it comes back, and then they're like, is this it? That,
yeah,
but this, when the seeking energy goes, there's no sense of is this it, like like
yeah,
it's to do with the seeking energy, but that's part of it. So just notice when your mind says, oh, is this it? That's exactly actually what your mind would most probably do with an object after a while that it gets. Like at first it's maybe fascinated by the object, um, uh, and then after a while it loses its shine.
yeah,
The mind is less interested in it. Like at first it's like, oh, that's really exciting. It's the same patterns. Our mind produces the same patterns about everything it interacts with. It's just that everything it or what it interacts with is constantly changing. So you like get a new house, you get a new sofa, or you get a new house or boyfriend or girlfriend. So that it seems like that it's different because it's a different situation, but your mind is interpreting in the same way, and the seeking energy is doing the same dance. It's so obvious for you to watch someone else and see it, but when you see it as yourself, it's not obvious because it presents itself as you.
So you know that fed up, I like the feel I've got mostly at the moment is like, oh, I'm just fed up of all this. I'm just fed up of it all.
Yeah.
Like, is that part of the pattern too?
Yeah, that's part of a pattern. So could you see that
Oh, it's like
through
you're constantly stuck in it.
it? But that's part of the pattern that it. You can't really remember the past that well, that accurately, because you're looking at it through your eyes and your way of seeing things. So other people will tell the story of you differently to the way you'll tell the story of you. So your mind says, I'm sick of it and I always feel like this, but this is just what your mind's reporting now, and that's making you believe that it's true.
Oh yeah.
It's so clever the way it works. And then like later on, you'll be excited about something and you'll forget that feeling, but you won't remember that. When you're next in that feeling, it will only remember all the times that it's felt like that because it wants to seek from that feeling. It's just a mechanism. So that fed up feeling is something that you'll have experienced in and out throughout your life, and it will be a habit that your mind goes to. You'll have
Yeah,
learnt
it
it
is
from
actually, yeah.
you'll learnt it from your parents most probably, and you'll do it in many ways. Like you can do it as a way to reject something because you're afraid of loving it. You can use it as a way to put yourself down. You can do it as a way to keep distance. You can do it as a way to try not to want something, to try not to get your heart broken. It can be like a defensive pattern, and it can also be a pattern that you're using to protect yourself from life. It's so intelligent, the mind and what it's doing.
I
Because
can see
imagine,
actually how,
yeah,
oh,
sorry,
sorry, go
yeah.
on.
I was just going to say, imagine if you were with your partner, say, or someone that you know very intimately, and you didn't have this feeling of feeling fed up or this seeking energy, and you actually really appreciated that moment with them. That would be such intense love that sometimes we can't handle that.
Yeah, yeah. I was actually gonna say I can see how it is a protection thing
Yeah,
because without that you just kind of thrown right into life.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's something your parents will have taught you. It's actually doesn't. It's like a. Not only is that not who that you don't exist, but it's also that those habits are not something you made up. It's something that would have been passed down.
mm,
We're very scared of loving because in our minds, the love that you seek has never been got from an object, but you deeply believe that the love you seek has been got from an object, and you're terrified of objects. You're terrified of really loving them, but as you begin to awaken more and listen to this more, you really begin to realize that love isn't attached to any object. It's just that your mind has put it with objects, and so much about life is about protecting ourselves from this love because we're terrified of getting it and we're terrified of losing it.
yeah, is it because you think once you've got it, there's more to lose? So,
Yeah, someone will take it away from you, or something will take it away from you. And it was never in those objects. It's actually what's behind all objects. It's not even that it's behind, actually, it's inside, it is all objects, but it's what's behind that seeking energy and those thoughts. It's very quietly glowing in the background. And then the times that it breaks through is normally when you're enjoying yourself. And then that's very scary to the person, so it quickly comes back into itself again. That
That's
love,
crazy that it's the scared of love. That's so.
because it kills you. Who are you if you're totally content now? You'll notice that if you really examine what you're thinking throughout the day, it's all based around seeking. And the seeking is creating a story of you. Because it's repeating in the mind what it wants, what it wants, what it wants, what it doesn't want, even if you're not aware of it. Even moaning about a friend is a seeking energy. And we're terrified of dying into that love because it's mysterious, it's unknown, and it's uncontrollable. So we focus on objects which we believe we can control. It kills you, that love. Who are you if you're not seeking, if you're not looking for something? What do you talk about with your friends if you're happy? Notice that so many conversations are based on seeking. How do you fit into a world that's obsessed with seeking?
I can. I can. I. I'm finding it really hard to say any words because I feel like, yeah, they're all coming from that place.
Yeah,
So, like, there's no point.
yeah. So just notice that's what the mind says. Does that produce sadness?
Yeah.
So just notice that feeling that comes with it. Just notice what's happening. That's not who you are. You're not stuck in those thoughts or those ideas. Those ideas come and go in who you are. And who you are is what remains, which is presence.
I can feel like my mind or whatever it is, like, keep coming back in.
Yeah,
Like,
that's okay. And you don't even need to do anything about that. Like, just notice if that's happening. And there's that consciousness, that silent consciousness that knows everything, knows the mind, knows the feeling of your dog, knows the room, and there's the I am. And it comes and goes, and the mind is just going crazy. Have you ever seen the film Revolver?
no.
It's a film about awakening, actually. It's a really nice film. And there's this scene in the lift where his mind just goes crazy. And it's almost like you can see how the mind will try everything. And it's just, there's another part of you that's still, that's never moved. And it's just more and more relaxing into that still part of you. Because even though your mind's going crazy and coming in, it might not be going crazy now, but it's coming in and coming back, which is totally okay. The mind thinks. There's another part of you that's totally still. The consciousness is not moving. The I am is not moving. Your presence hasn't moved 1 ounce as the mind's got loud or quiet and
Oh,
said,
yeah.
yeah. So there's another part of you that's not affected. But the mind is like screaming for attention. And this is what's meant by the Buddha sitting under the Bodhi tree. So the Buddha is meaning to represent the I am and stillness. That's what it means, Buddha nature. So Buddha means the enlightenment. So it's like the Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree. So that I am, that consciousness was there. And Maya, the mind, the illusion, presented itself. So the seeking presented itself in heaven and hell. So it presented itself in virgins. It presented itself in joys and pleasures and naked dancing woman. It presents its, or men, whichever we like. It's always typical, the story of the virgin women, but it could be virgin men. We're now modern people. But then, and then the hells of war, destruction, deaths, disease, suffering. And the Buddha, we're not talking about the human, we're talking about that I am, and that consciousness didn't move. And this movement went back to that which isn't moving and stopped identifying with what was moving. Who you are is what doesn't move. And also it is what does move, but no one thing. So it's like all the movement, the thoughts, the ideas, my voice, the outside world is also you, but no one thing. We believe we're this thinking mind and we're this person, but there's part of your experience which never moves, which is totally free of what you think.
No. That's what? Ah, I feel a little small again. I'm like, no, give me that feeling back.
Yeah. I think that was a mini awakening. For a moment the mind cleared, and then the mind comes back in, and then there's identification with that mind again. But there is, and this is like all your, ultimately the past and the future don't exist, but it appears as if they did, and all your efforts listening to this is that's it working, is it's breaking this attachment to the thoughts. So that moment is why you've been listening. Until eventually this shift happens where it just goes back to who you are. And then the character plays or the thoughts plays, but there is no energy which grabs onto it and says, this is me.
It's so different. Like, I was looking out the window and all the sky just seemed really huge, and I don't know. I feel like there's no point talking. Oh, I just want you to hang around with me all day and tell me this stuff so I can be like, woo.
Yeah, I think this is why, like, at first when you get into the subject for the first, well, it could be years actually. Like, I used to listen obsessively for years.
Yeah.
Because
did ya?
it keeps breaking something, and you can't quite put your finger on what's happening, but there's a break happening. And then finally it just shifts. And it's not you really doing it, but it can seem like it's you. It appears like you're doing something, but it just moves.
I've got a massive smile on my face. I feel like I haven't smiled like this for ages.
Nice, me too now. I'm not sure if you can see me.
No, I can't, but yay. Oh, thank you, Lisa. Thanks for that.
Oh, it was a pleasure. It was lovely speaking with you.
You too. Okay, I'll go and let someone else speak to you now.
That's a love to you.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh, that was sweet. I love it when you have those moments where somebody's like, it's very sweet. I remember, I'm sure I've told you this many times, one time in the beginning when it happened to me, I was sitting in the hot tub, and my dogs, I used to have a hot tub, and I had 2 dogs, but the neighbours' dogs used to come around, so I had 4. I used to sit in the hot tub with the ball thrower and a ball in the ball thrower, and I used to throw the ball, and all 4 dogs would chase it, and then they'd come and they'd drop it in the hot tub, and then I would pick it up and throw. And all the 4 dogs had their little heads popping over the side, looking at me. And I just remember there was this moment where their looking and my looking was the same. That was really sweet. That was love.